Our country has never been so low. Our country has never been so disrespected as it is right now by China, Russia, North Korea, and everybody else, Iran. There's never been a time like this. The Afghan withdrawal, I want to withdraw more than anybody, and I was doing it beautifully with power and strength. The way he just came in and surrendered, I think when China, when Russia, when these people are looking at what happened on that, I think it's the lowest point. I think it's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to our country.
The Chinese Communist Party is also mocking us. They were using fake military jets, United States military jets, for target practice recently. The national security issues are huge. You knew that China was a real threat.
Yeah.
I know that you hosted Xi Jinping here at Mar-a-Lago just a few months into your presidency. You served him dessert, chocolate cake. You said it was the best chocolate cake he had had. And during that dessert, you dropped the news that the U.S. had just launched 50 strikes against Syria. How did you know China was the threat, really, the important threat to focus on?
Well, not only China, but China from an economic standpoint is massive. Russia's not massive from that standpoint, but they're a military power. And China's a great military power. But China economically has been ripping us off for many years. I've been talking about it for a long time. $500 billion a year. And I'm the first one. We were taking in billions, tens of billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of money from China. And I was giving a lot of it to the farmers, manufacturers. Our farmers are rich now because of the deal I made with China. But once COVID came along, or the China virus, as I call it, because it's a much more accurate term, once that came along, you know, I had a great relationship with President Xi. I really believe he liked me, and I liked him. I had a great relationship.
He's a killer.
He is a killer. But I had a great relationship with him. Once COVID came, it was a different story. Because they've really, not only this country, they've really destroyed the world, the whole world. If you look at what's going on. And Biden said, I will solve it. Well, he couldn't solve the H1N1, which was another very minor by comparison. That was a disaster, and everybody knew that. But he said he's going to solve it. Well, as you know, and everybody reports it, even the fake news sometimes, but there are more deaths this year than there were with me. And we have all of these vaccines, and we have all of these incredible therapeutics. They're not doing their job. They don't know what the hell they're doing. The mandates are killing our economy.
But Joe Biden still has not brought up the origins of COVID to Xi Jinping.
Well,
they spoke 4 times this year. Why do you think that is?
Because he's afraid of them. And I think he's afraid of the fact that they gave billions of dollars to his son. And
so they have something on him.
Yeah, of course they do. And they gave billions of dollars. I asked friends of yours, the biggest people there are in terms of Wall Street, can you go into China and walk away with $1.5 billion? These are people that you interview once a month, okay? The real people on Wall Street, the smartest guys, the guys with the big companies that run the big companies, Wall Street firms. He said, nobody does that, nobody. The most sophisticated guy in Wall Street can't walk in and walk out in 10 minutes with $1.5 billion, walked out with it, and he gets fees on all of that money. Tens of millions of dollars.
Why do you think our adversaries are doing all of this now? I mean, you've got a buildup of troops at the Ukraine border.
None of this happened with me. You didn't have bombers flying over Taiwan.
Why are they doing it now?
You didn't have any threat of any meaningfulness in Ukraine. Now, before that, they took over a big section of Ukraine. You understand that. Under the Biden administration, they took over the Obama administration, and essentially, the two of them, they approved it. I think Biden was in charge. And under Obama's administration, they took over a very big part of Ukraine, as you know, where they have the submarines, where the Russians now have their submarines. It's hard to believe, actually. You know, people
do they see weakness?
Oh, the other countries? They've never seen it. They've never, well, even the ones that are our friends have taken advantages of us on trade. Look, the European Union is almost as bad on trade as China is. I say that to people, they say, oh, that, everybody says European Union's so nice. They rip us off like, few others. We lost $187 billion when I was coming into office with the European Union. Now, with China, it's over $5. It was $507 billion. This It's not sustainable. And what I did with the taxes and the tariffs on China, taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, we never took in 10 cents. And the funny thing is, Biden used to argue against it, but they haven't taken the tariffs off. You know why? It's so much money. And not only that, companies were moving back into the United States. But now they stopped because they think he's going to take the tariffs off. And that's a shame.
If you were to run and win again, are you going to be better at your appointees? I mean, you've got Anthony Fauci, you had Jim Comey, you had Christopher Wray, all of these people on your team, and you didn't fire them. They were all against you.
Yeah, but I had great people, too. I rebuilt the military. I got the largest tax cuts in history. I got the largest regulation cuts in history. I created the greatest economy in the world, Lighthizer and all my guys. We had great people, and we had some bad ones. I mean, Sessions was bad, and a man that followed him didn't want to be impeached. You know, a lot of them were fine, and then they're politicians. As an example, I had no real problem with Milley until he did the walk. And the radical left said it was a bad thing to do, and he apologized for it. And then when he said it's cheaper to leave the equipment in Afghanistan, I said, you got to be kidding. I started to realize this guy's not too good. But he's a politician, and he goes the way the wind is blowing. We had great people, but we had some bad ones, and so does every administration. You know, we appoint thousands and thousands of people. 10,000 people get appointed from the White House.
But these were people in key positions, and you kept them on. Well, and they were against you.
It's true. They were recommended, all of them, they were recommended by people. Now I know everybody. I know people in Washington that are so great. But when I got there, I was in Washington 17 days my entire life. I went there 17 times in my entire life, never stayed overnight. And all of a sudden, I became president. And I had to rely on people. And some of the people, I will tell you who recommended them, but some of the people that were recommended, and some of the people you mentioned are not bad. But I'll tell you what, we had great people, too. We had people that created the greatest economy in history. We had people that rebuilt the military. I rebuilt the entire military. I got rid of ISIS from Iraq and from Syria, 100% of the caliphate. Knocked out al-Baghdadi, Soleimani. We did things that nobody has ever done. Nobody's done what this administration has done. With that, I could have made some people some choices, but isn't that true with every president? You know, you could go back to Obama, you could go back to Reagan. You put people in, you think they're going to be good, they don't do the job. And then sometimes they do a better job.